Skyrocketing unemployment numbers that are expected to grow as the crisis continues already has Congress working on another stimulus package. But what if there was a different solution?
Places like Denmark and the UK have effectively nationalized payrolls during the crisis to help prevent mass layoffs. An associate professor of economics at Bard College, Pavlina Tcherneva, is advocating for the U.S. to take a similar tactic. She's also the author of a book called The Case for a Job Guarantee. Actually, it's a forthcoming book. We'll talk to Pavlina now via Skype. Great to have you, Pavlina. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
First, the book. When does it come out? Can people pre-order it now?
Yes, they can pre-order it. It will come out in June this year.
Great. Fabulous. So talk to us about the U.S.'s response thus far and what you would advocate doing differently.
Well, despite the very large package that was passed just recently, it is woefully inadequate. We are seeing this hemorrhage in the labor markets, and I think this is just the beginning. I think most analysts expect it to be just the beginning. You know, we have forecasts of expected unemployment of up to 30%, maybe higher, from the Federal Reserve. And the most unfortunate thing is that we know that this problem is coming, and we could do something about it right now. So what I am proposing is for the government to pay the payrolls and protect jobs at all costs possible so that it doesn't have to face this avalanche of job losses and have to deal with bringing them down to our lows.
I'm also in favor of this. We've seen this bipartisan actually proposals from Senator Bernie Sanders, Senator Josh Hawley, both to some respect. But the arguments against it, well, let's go through them a little bit, of at least what we have right now, is that the Paycheck Protection Program would be enough in order to backstop those roles, while there are some businesses that will just fail as a result of this. What do you think your response is to that?
Well, these are really patchwork of policies that are assuming that we will recover in 2 months. It's not going to happen. You know, we already have, at least 15 million newly unemployed people, add to the 5 million from before. So once unemployment develops, it has this awful, terrible way of self-perpetuating and dragging on. So I think that we will see not just additional job losses, but even when folks return to more normal activity, businesses will not see 100% of their, customers come back. And so we will be dealing with restructuring, with job losses going forward. So the best thing that we could do right now is really protect jobs at all costs. And I just want to say the $2 trillion that was passed would have been enough to pay everybody's wage in the entire economy for a year if we paid 100% of it. If we had gone the Denmark or UK route and protected the threatened jobs at a certain percentage, we could extend the stimulus throughout the end of the year to protect employment. We will still have to deal with this decline in demand in a few months' time. Because probably people will not be returning to the concert halls and to the football games in great numbers, and maybe they won't fly as much as before. So they will be a lower demand, overall demand, and there will be some layoffs as a result.
Economists, as you said, are predicting perhaps as high as 30%, even higher potential unemployment before we're through with this thing. I think it's hard for us to even wrap our heads around what that looks like. I mean, we haven't seen anything like that in our lifetimes. What does that mean for a society when you have that many people out of work?
We haven't seen such a thing. Not even during the Great Depression. We had 20%, 26% unemployment rate at the time. And so to have so many people out of work, that means another wave of bankruptcies, of defaults, of a lot of pain and suffering that folks who are unemployed experience. I mean, they're enormous social costs. We know this very well. People are sicker as a result of unemployment. Their children don't do so well in school. Their spouses don't do as well. I mean, there's just this overall malaise that happens within the home, in the broader society. And these are social costs that we all bear. And we really need to avoid them. We have opioid epidemic in communities that have lost their stable, good-paying jobs. I mean, the fallout is endless. The costs are immeasurable, and it is much more cost-effective, even if you think of it in these terms, to provide jobs to people who need them.
Yeah.
So, Pavlina, one of the things that we have seen really is that this has come to the political debate in terms of its forefront so quickly, is that 2 months ago, you could never imagine politicians on the right and the left advocating for positions like this with somewhat majoritarian support. How has it moved, through the course of you writing this book? I'm sure you didn't expect something like this to come on to the forefront, but what is it about the economy that you saw over the course of your career when you decided to write this book that we are now really learning in this crisis moment?
I wrote the book when the unemployment rates were historically low levels. But the main argument of my book is that even in those times, unemployment spreads like a silent epidemic because of all the pain that it inflicts on communities and on families. So even when economists presumably talk about a fully employed economy, there is a lot of pain and suffering that they're ignoring and a lot of social costs that I just mentioned. And so what I have noticed in my career is that the unemployed are always left on the back burner. Jobs are always kind of a consequence of these presumably desirable policies, but we have then become accustomed to jobless recoveries. And, for the last, I would say, half a century, it's been taking longer and longer to recover the lost jobs in a recession. How long would it take now? It took us more than 10 years after the great financial crisis to bring unemployment this low. And we were still having this conversation. Is there more slack in the labor market? Could we be creating more jobs? And the answer was yes. I think policymakers had to reckon with this idea. Now the situation is amplified and it's much worse. So my main message here is that the way we create jobs is by providing jobs to the unemployed directly. The public sector is already responsible for the unemployed, rain or shine, and they will have to do the direct method. They have to pursue the direct method to create jobs for the unemployed.
Yeah. And why do you think that a jobs guarantee is better than a universal basic income? Because UBI advocates would say, look, not everybody wants, a government backstop job. Government or jobs don't sort of value care work often. Moms and dads who want to stay at home, that work is not valued. So why not just give everybody a basic income and then they can make the choices for themselves?
Look, there are two different problems that we are discussing. Universal basic income recognizes that there are a lot of problems in the labor market and there's a lot of care work that is being done. The job guarantee recognizes the same as well. And it says we actually undervalue a lot of activities. Society does not remunerate appropriately a lot of activities. But the job guarantee is solving a specific problem. And that is the problem of people who want to work and earn living wages, that they are guaranteed that opportunity. The job guarantee is conceived as a care act. At least that's how I talk about it. It's a program that deals with the neglected areas in the communities, deals with the care burden of families, the elder care as well. So in a way, it does alleviate some of these problems by helping socialize some of that work and the burden of that work. But it has always been pitched as part of a broader safety net, of a broader welfare system that supports those who cannot work and should not work for whatever reason. They can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's very interesting. Thank you so much for joining us, Pavlina.
Thank you, Professor.
We really appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
And we'll have more Rising for you after this.